How's it going, everyone? As you guys can tell by the title of the video, this will be something very different. This is a first time ever, at least for me, on this channel. I'll be doing my first ever book review, of course, on the book that came out just a little over a month ago. Yes, My Improbable Journey to the Main Event of WrestleMania by Daniel Bryan. Of course, like I just said, it came out just a little bit over a month ago. Finished it about 2 weeks ago, but I never had the time to really make a video on it in that time period until now. But hey, better late than never. Yeah, enough of me talking. Let's jump into the video. Of course, as you see right here, the cover of the book right there says yes, My Purple Journey to the Main Event of WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan with Craig Tello. Of course, picture of him right there holding the titles on the second turnbuckle after WrestleMania 30, after he won the titles. Here's a spine right there. What it'll look like on your shelf if you put it on there. And of course, here is the back. Some comments from some people. You got Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Brie Bella, and Bleacher Report. Very random source right there. I find it kind of funny that in Triple H's quote, he goes, "Daniel is a crossover of so many of those factors that make a superstar. He's got charisma, he's got personality, he's different. There's a truth to what he says." I find that very funny just because of, when you've watched their feud and what he said about him, it's just really funny that those words would come out of his mouth after everything he's said about him in their feud. I understand. That's a feud, that's for TV, but a lot of that saying was true, so that's just funny and ironic that those words came out of Triple H's mouth. You open the book up. As you guys can see, this is not the signed edition. I didn't get the signed edition. I don't know. I didn't really have the need for it. I already have his signature. I've already met him, and in case I ever meet him again, I can always have this as an option to get him signed, so that's why I didn't get the signed edition. But of course, right here is the opening flap. You guys can go ahead and pause it if you like and read that, because I'm not going to read that for you guys. And then the back flap. Here's the back of it. Look at him. He's on your way to steal your bitch. But yeah, there's just another reading, so you can pause it right there and read it if you'd like. And then if you take the cover off, very, very plain. Nothing to it. That's what it looks like. It has his original Yes logo, and it says Yes Daniel Bryan on it. So nothing to it on the back of this book. But a cool thing about this is on the side right there, you see a picture. If you do it quickly, I'm probably going to screw it up, but oh well. Yeah, you can see him yesing. I know it went by pretty fast, and it's kind of blurry to see it and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty cool. They're able to see him the yes like that. The camera won't focus for that, so sorry for that. But yeah, that's what the book looks like and everything. And of course, you have some pictures in it too. Right there, got some pictures in the book. Why is it not focusing? There we go. So yeah, of course, yeah. But yeah, that's what everything looks like in the book. Overall thoughts, definitely recommend it. Highly recommend it. Great book here. I'm not just saying that because I'm a mark for the guy, but he definitely could tell that most of it was from the heart, and he really meant a lot of things he said. One big gripe, though, this is my only complaint about the book, and I think anyone that read this will agree with me. Craig Tello was the most annoying person in this book. Before each chapter starts, he has his own little thing. Let me see if I can find a chapter real quick. Alright, right here. Like this. You see how it's like, the font is different? That's Craig Tello's right there. And then, see, look. It goes over, and it ends right here, so when Daniel Bryan starts. Craig Tello's little input in the book was just so... I don't want to say bad, but it was so annoying, and I hated the way he worded things. Like, he'd call Daniel Bryan the yes man and whatnot, and just the way he'd describe him, it got really annoying. And I understand it was Craig Tello's portion was detailing his journey to WrestleMania, because I understand that the book is about his journey to WrestleMania, but just his input was just very annoying, and just it threw you off too. Like, you'd be reading about Daniel Bryan, in ROH or something like that, and then you go to the next chapter and it's talking about him the day before WrestleMania. Like, it kind of throws you off, and I think it was just horribly placed. I understand the reasoning for it, but it really was the down part about this book, was just how annoying it was, and just really, I didn't like his wording on it. Definitely Craig Tello. I don't want to say he ruined the book, but if there's one complaint, it's Craig Tello's portion of the book. It was just really, really annoying. But yeah, besides that, great book. You did learn. Well, at least me, I learned a lot of things I didn't know about him, and I know a lot about him, and there's things I didn't know, or, I didn't know too much of, and I learned about it. You definitely learned a lot about him as a kid. He had some troubles as a kid with, some I don't know, some disease or some sickness, and he just had, you know, trouble with his health as a kid. So there's a lot of things he didn't know about that, and he went into some pretty good detail about his parents too. How his dad used to be an alcoholic, and, you know, his parents divorced and whatnot. So he really opened up about his childhood and his parents. Of course, he talked about how he got into wrestling. So a lot of this, honestly, you probably will know off of just interviews, and if you've watched a lot of him, you probably will know a lot in this book. But some of it's in great detail, and then some things will happen where he didn't mention it in some scenarios. Like if you heard something about a story he told back in the day, he might have told it here, but in more detailed. But yeah, you know, it just really goes through his journey. He goes really in depth about how he really got into the business too. Like majority of the first half of the book was just about him breaking into wrestling and, you know, training with Shawn Michaels and how that all came about. And, you know, you really could feel the struggle with him. You know, he really wanted to become a professional wrestler, but he had to overcome a lot of struggles, especially, you know, financially wise, and, you know, how to, you know, just getting into it. He definitely suffered a lot. And, you know, he really, he's really critical of himself. You'll understand that, how he's just really onto himself, and he just really, you know, like he'll put himself over, then immediately bury himself, like right after that. So he's really critical of himself. He's really funny too. Like you wouldn't expect how funny he is. Just, well, I'm pretty sure people have an idea of how funny he is, but once you read the book, you'll laugh a lot, in my opinion, because just the things he'll say and like the way he'll word it, or just the stories, outrageous stories he'll tell, or just like that out of all people, that happened to him. Like it's pretty entertaining, pretty entertaining to read. And then, you know, he goes through his indie career. You know, to be honest, I was a little disappointed by that, because he kind of, I don't want to say he breezed over it, but he didn't go as in detail as I would hope. That could just be me personally. I'm a person that really likes to hear things in depth. Like, you can tell me a story, but I want to hear every single detail about it. That's just me. But I was just a little disappointed that he didn't go more in depth as he could have. I think he definitely could have went longer. This book is only about 300 pages. Over 300 pages. I think like 309 or something like that. So this book, honestly, if he really wanted to, I feel this book definitely could have went 500 to 600 pages. He definitely could have wrote a really long book, and I would have had no problem with it. I think it would have still been equally as great, if not better. So I wish it would have been a little bit longer, but they probably constrained it to 300 pages. But he talks about his early run in ROH and how, you know, a lot of what happened in his career were really not supposed to happen. And, like, I know he's expressed that a lot about his WrestleMania 30 situation, how he was never supposed to main event WrestleMania 30. But you'll be surprised on how many things he said that was never supposed to happen, but just end up happening due to circumstances. So a lot of his career was just you know what, we had nothing else to do, we had to go with him. Or, you know what, we had no other person but him to go with. So a lot of his stuff was spontaneous and just weren't supposed to happen. So I was really surprised how many things wasn't supposed to happen in his career that did. He talks about how he got into WWE and how much he hated WWE when he first got there, or when he got back there in 2010 when he signed. He really expressed how he hated NXT. He expressed how he really felt like his first year or two was just when he came back. He even said when he came back, you know, after SummerSlam, after he had like his little strong coming back, you know, after the last couple months, he honestly started questioning if he ever even should have came back, because that's how bad he was, and that's how like miserable he was. He was really just felt like, you know, he was deserving better, and just no matter how better performance he put on, he just wasn't going anywhere. And it wasn't honestly until 2012, honestly, where he just really started enjoying his career again. So his first couple of years back in WWE, he just did not like. It was just, you know, goes to show how, you know, he's not a person that really expresses a lot of things, but he was really depressed inside about it. And then, of course, he talks about Brie, of course, a lot. Talks about their first date. Talks about their first sexual encounter, or tried their first sexual encounter, their first kiss. So he talks about Brie a lot once he gets to the portion where he meets her. But overall, this is an excellent book. You know, it's kind of hard really to review these kind of books without spoiling a lot of things. But definitely recommend it. Like I said, he talks a lot about his childhood and his beginnings, how he got into wrestling, you know, his first couple trips overseas. He talks a lot about England. He puts England over a lot in this book. He talks about how much he loved it. He talks about how, you know, his independent run, how he got in the WWE once he got signed, then once he got fired, and once he came back, and, you know, his run when he came back again until he won Money in the Bank and won the title, and then, you know, his run throughout the end. Just very, very good. His stories, he had some funny stories with Kane too. You know, he had his little pranks that he pulled on Kane was pretty funny. I will admit though, I was kind of disappointed once again though about the Kane situation. When he talked about Kane, I expected a lot more stories and moments with Kane, but he didn't really talk all that much as I expected. Once again, that's just me, my personal disappointment, because like I said, I want to hear in-depth things, but yeah, definitely recommend this book you haven't got so far. This is absolutely awesome. You know, this is a book where you read and you do not want to put it down. That's how good this book is. I know some people read this book in like hours. I read this, I want to say it took me about 2 weeks to read this just because I was taking my time. I didn't want to knock it out all at once because I wanted to, you know, once you knock it all out, you're kind of like, well, what do I do now? So that's why I took my time reading this. But definitely, great book. Definitely recommend picking it up if you haven't so far. A lot of this, I will admit though, if you have his Journey to WrestleMania, or if you've seen his Journey to WrestleMania documentary, or have his Just Say Yes DVD, a lot of it translates into this. That's really comes from the Greg Tello portion. A lot of what Greg Tello says. All right, basically what Greg Tello says is just basically wording of Daniel Bryan's documentary put into the book. That's basically what it is. So you will hear a lot of things you probably know about, but you'll also learn a lot of things you probably didn't know about. But yeah, all in all, recommend it. Great book. Go buy it if you haven't already. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully I convinced you guys to go buy it if you haven't so far. If I didn't, well, sorry. I tried my best. But yeah, definitely recommend go picking it up. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.